Hi everyone, Haley here, and welcome to an episode of Breaking Beauty Beliefs with me, your therapeutic skin coach. My hair is extra zhuzhy today. I just got out of the shower and I was kind of going for a whole 80s vibe, so I went for the big earrings. And I know all of you are going to comment on how often I wear the big earrings. When I like an accessory, I stick to it. The earrings are last year's hat. So we'll see what happens in 2020 for my next accessory of choice. But today I want to talk to you guys about extractions. As you may know, I wrote an ebook called How to Break Up with Picking with Your Skin. And the reason I wrote this ebook is not only because it's a reoccurring theme in my practice where I'm constantly just shelling out the lessons for my clients who just cannot stop picking regardless of their intention for their skin. But it's something I also struggled with. It's something that I started doing as early as age 10 because I just didn't really know how to navigate breakouts and congestion. And what seemed like the most logical thing to do was just to pick and poke at it because it gave me a sense of control. It made me feel like I had authority on my skin's outcome. So I just decided to take over, extract my face, and I just dealt with the consequence of having a bloody face, having what felt like I was punched in the face as a result of that. So naturally, when I became an esthetician, and I was in esthetician school at 18 years old, I associated that same sort of control and power of extractions to, or self-picking the skin to extractions. I was terrified to hurt anybody because I know that when I was extracting myself, it was always painful. I think that we can be a lot harsher on ourselves than we are on other people. So it took me a really long time to even get comfortable with the concept of it. But eventually, the more I grew comfortable just talking with people, encouraging them to breathe throughout our extraction session and taking it in baby steps, knowing full on that I'm not going to be able to hit every single pore and the tiny allotment of time that our skin is prepped for extractions, I felt kind of okay with it. And then I became sort of like a queen of extractions. People would love my extractions. They would tell me how painless they are. And they started coming to me for these extractions. Now, some of you may also know that I broke up with extractions in the beginning of 2019, which was really difficult for me to do because I felt like it was so associated with my identity as an esthetician. Well, of course I will do extractions. Of course I'll do it because it's just part of the facial. But I slowly tested out with some really regular clients that trust me and are just willing to kind of go the direction that I see fit with their skin, regardless if it excludes a step that they think they might need. They just trust me. And I sort of tested it out with them for a couple of months before I even made an announcement that I would be taking out extractions from my practice. And what I was doing was starting to implement different modalities in my facial to replace the extractions just so I could see if it would be possible for me to do, if the outcomes were going to be anywhere close to what I was sort of used to, and what the potential long-term effect of removing extractions could be for my clients. Now, I had clients who were really consistent on picking their skin, regardless of the fact that I didn't really think it was an appropriate habit for them, but I would tell them time and time again, stop picking, stop picking, stop picking. But then they would come in and I would do the extracting for them. And even though I would talk them through like how extractions from a professional is completely different from you like engaging in a practical self-harming habit at home. You're probably not sanitizing your skin, you're unaware of like the state of your skin, and you just picking at it because you're anxious or because you're bored or because you think you're doing something positive is only interfering with the natural process of the skin self-healing. So that being said, it felt a little hypocritical of me to then be like, but let me do it. Let me do it. I will do all of the picking and poking, regardless of the fact that I was steaming, I was exfoliating, I was nourishing the skin. It felt like my facials were divided into prepping for extractions and then trying so hard to calm the inflammation that I've then created in the skin from the extractions. So I took them out and instead focused solely on nurturing the lymph and finding out where in the skin, where in the muscles, where in the body were we holding the most tension that was slowing down and stagnating the possibility of our lymph to move gracefully through our lymphatic passageways. That's where a lot of like those light bulb moments kind of kicked in for me. And instead of having somebody, feel like, okay, well, I'm still congested, they felt really relaxed by me just like nurturing their lymph, because it's a really great way to nurture the nervous system and kick up the parasympathetic. But also, they weren't inclined to then want to pick their skin when they got home. I was able to kind of just move those fluids that were just like sitting right under the skin that made you feel like you needed to pick at stuff, and even the stuff that was like really cystic, painful, out, inflamed, like every kind of potential extraction, I just left alone and nurtured the lymph instead. And honestly, it just became a really great lesson for me that instead of congesting my facial with these steps that I felt like I was only just digging myself out of a hole from like, okay, well, let me just try to clean everything out of the skin, and then let me just try to then, nurture the skin and heal the skin from all of this damage, this intentional damage that I've caused. I just realized that the more we get the lymph to flow, the less likely we are to have to intervene with a damaging act, a potentially damaging act, or an intentionally damaging act. There's a lot of conversation about how, the skin is something that we can manipulate in a way where we can increase, a type of response by adding some damage. And the type of clientele that I attract is mostly people who have autoimmune issues, they're pregnant, or they're just in a place of low immunity that me promoting this like self-healing response by introducing trauma to the skin in any way was just not serving them, because their body was trying to heal way more important things than just like one tiny little cyst on their face. Moving towards a more lymph-based facial has saved my hands. It's increased my client return more so that people now want to come in weekly as opposed to monthly, and they can go out and live their lives afterwards. They don't feel like if they have to hide, they don't feel like if they have to like cover up with a hat, and they're not ashamed of how they nurtured themselves. And some of those people who just were picking and nonstop pickers, and no matter what I did, they just were going to be extracting their face, they've even quit because I quit. So extractions are a part of the conventional facial that we are taught. Now, there are certain estheticians who do it, and they do it so well, and I think that they hold a really important place in our industry. I did them well, I liked them, but they never felt really intuitive to me since the very beginning of my practice. So I just decided to take a chance on breaking up with them, and honestly, I don't miss it. I don't miss doing it to myself. I don't miss having them be done to me. I don't miss doing them to people. I would rather find the root cause of what is causing that stagnation and nurture the skin from that root. And loving on the lymph is such a beautiful way to do that. Now, if you have a breakout that you are just like, well, what do I do? What do I do? Just think about homeostasis. Think about what you would do if any other part of your body was having that sort of inflammatory response. Would you pick at it? Would you kind of mutilate it in a way? Probably not. You would find ways to reduce inflammations. You would find ways to calm it, to nurture it, to feed it the nutrients that it needs in order to heal. And sometimes it's simply backing off. Sometimes it's a matter of adding in a spot treatment or a clay-based mask. Sometimes it's wrapping up an ice cube and holding it on an area that feels super inflamed. And then most of the time, it's just making an appointment with a specialist that can support you. So if you are somebody that is into self-extraction and you like picking the skin, I encourage you to check out my ebook just to see where that beauty belief was first planted, and maybe investigate that for yourself a little bit more. And then for the estheticians out there who do incredible extractions, you hold a really important place in our community as well. This is my personal choice, and this is something that I have tested on both ends and feel confident in this decision. Will I never do extractions again? Well, I can't really promise that. There have been a few cases in which I'm like, you know what, today might be a day for me to just do really late extractions, and then we're going to come back in next week and do a little bit more lymph love just so we can really get this moving. I just feel like, honestly, conventional products too can really disrupt the flow of the lymphatic system and those fluids that need to kind of push their way out and distribute nutrients, reoxygenate the cells, and eliminate waste within our face and the rest of our body. But also to, I use organic whole plant products in my facials, and I use them in my my own home care. So the more I use real live high vibe products, the more I realize I don't actually need to have those extractions in my practice or for myself. So if that is something that you're looking forward to breaking up with as well, I encourage you to check out my ebook. And I'm going to be coming out with a transition into conscious skincare ebook very soon, which will help you introduce high vibe, nutritionally dense products into your skincare as well. So thank you. I know this is super long-winded. I appreciate you tuning in to Breaking Beauty Beliefs with me today. Comment below with any subjects that you'd like for me to tackle. And if there's something that you need clarification on, just add another comment, and I will do my best to either add a part 2 or to just answer within comments or within stories. I appreciate all of you guys tuning in. I hope I didn't ramble too much, and I love you. Mwah! See you next time.